Okay, so last day we did up to potential and potential difference, right? Okay, today we will start from Ohm's law. Ohm's law. Ohm's law. Okay. Acha, we knew about two components of electricity, right? The major two components, one is voltage, another one is current. Okay, suppose let me draw a figure. Okay, first can you tell me the name of the various components? What is this thing? Battery. So this is a battery. What is this thing? A. It stands for ammeter. What does it stand for? Ammeter. What is the function of ammeter? Ammeter is a device which is used to measure current. Okay, all of you write down what is ammeter. Ammeter, it is a device which is used to measure current. Okay, did we observe one thing, that the ammeter is in line of the wire, right? So see, the current is passing directly through the ammeter. Okay, can you tell me what is this thing?
Resistance.
This is resistance, but does it look like this or does it look like this? Tell me. First one or the second one? Second one. The first one is a fixed resistance. What is the first one? Fixed resistance. What is the second one? It is variable resistance. What is it? Variable resistance. Okay, so it has a minimum value and a maximum value. Suppose if I start from here, the minimum value can be 0. If I go to the other end, the maximum value can be 100. So I can pick up any resistance between 0 and 100. Okay, but in this case it will be of a same value every time. If the value is 20 ohm, it will be 20 ohm every time. If the value is 100 ohm, it will be 100 ohm every time. Is the concept clear? Okay, so this is rheostat. Variable resistance is also known as rheostat. Okay, now so this one is rheostat. What is this one? V. A V inside a round. What is this one? Not variable. This is voltmeter. What is it? Voltmeter. Okay, voltmeter is a device which is used to measure the potential difference across two ends. Okay, write it down. Voltmeter. It is a device. It is a device used to measure. It is a device used to measure potential difference. Potential difference across two terminals. Okay, did you notice one thing, that in case of ammeter, this was in line of the current. Okay, now if I think about the current will be flowing in this direction, right? So this is the original direction of the current. Is the original current flowing through the voltmeter? Is the original current flowing through the voltmeter? No, it is kept parallel to the line of current, right? So if I have a resistance like this, then there can be two terminals of the resistance. Suppose I am taking these two terminal, let this terminal be A, this one be B. If I have to connect a voltmeter, I will be connecting the voltmeter like this. Is the concept clear? So if I want to connect a voltmeter, I will be connecting it in this way. Okay. Now next thing, so the current is coming from here, it is going here, it is going here, and it is going here, right? This portion is known as key or switch. Yes, this is known as key or this is known as switch. Okay, what does it do? It helps us to turn a circuit on or off. Okay, if we, the way in which we manipulate it will give us a off circuit or a on circuit. That means it can close a circuit or it can open a circuit. So these are basic circuit. Okay, now what we are doing is that we are performing an experiment. Suppose I have an x and y axis. Okay, suppose this one is y axis, this one is x axis. Okay, now I can do two things. First is I can plot current in this direction and voltage in this direction, or I can plot voltage in this direction and current in this direction. Okay, I can do both. Suppose in the first case I am plotting current in this direction, voltage in this direction. So what I am doing is that, suppose I am increasing the voltage in here. What I am doing, I am increasing the voltage in here. Now if I increase the voltage too much, okay, then it is seen that the current is also increasing with the voltage. Suppose initially I am doing some markings. Suppose this is 0.5 ampere, 1 ampere, 1.5 ampere, 2 ampere, 2.5 ampere, 3 ampere, 3.5 ampere. In this way the current is increasing. Okay, suppose this be 10 volt, 20 volt, 30 volt, 40 volt, 50 volt, 60 volt, 70 volt, the voltage is increasing this way. So when there was no current, we will find no voltage across it. Okay, when there was no current, we will find no voltage across it. So this V will give 0 when ampere A will be 0. Okay, so what we found out is that at the initial condition it was 0. Suppose the current was 0.5 ampere, this voltmeter will read 10 volt. Okay, so it will be, when this ammeter will read 1 ampere, this voltage will be 20 volt. When it will read 1.5, it will be 3, 2 ampere, it will be 40. So in this way we will get a straight line. Okay, what kind of line? Straight line. So Ohm saw that voltage is proportional to current. What did he see? Voltage is proportional to current. Or to remove the proportionality sign, we need to bring a constant. So V will be equal to I times R. Okay, so if V is equal to I times R, V equals to IR, then this law is known as Ohm's law. Okay, so this is Ohm's law. Okay, now we will write down Ohm's law. We will write down Ohm's law. Ohm's law. It states that, okay, it states that the potential difference across two terminals is directly proportional to the current flowing in the circuit, provided the temperature and physical parameters are constant. Provided the temperature and physical parameters are constant. So this is important, okay? So what does Ohm's law state? That it states that potential difference is V, okay, across two terminals is directly proportional to current. So V is proportional to current. What does proportional mean? As much current will increase, voltage will increase according to that. So V is proportional to current, and it also states that provided, now there is an exception, okay, provided, what are the two conditions? The temperature and the physical parameters are constant. Now suppose a wire is there, the current was flowing, now stretch that wire, it will be different, okay, physical parameter is changing. Suppose the current is flowing through this wire, what you did, you just started heating it up, the value will be changing, okay? So if these two conditions, the vital two conditions are constant or they don't change, if they don't change, then only this Ohm's law will be valid. And when the Ohm's law will be valid, we will simply get a straight line out of it, okay? If they don't change, then the voltage will always be proportional to the current. Now see, this is only possible in case of those substances that follow Ohm's law. There are substances that don't follow Ohm's law, like semiconductors, they don't follow Ohm's law, so it won't be the case with the semiconductors. But for those substances which will follow Ohm's law or which follows Ohm's law, it will be true for them. Is the concept clear? Ekdam clear? Okay, now we understood Ohm's law. Now in some books you will find the diagram to be like this, okay? In some books we will find the diagram as there will be I in this direction, there will be V in this direction. Is that clear? See, as V is proportional to I will also be proportional to V. Let us make a small example. Suppose V equals to 3I, okay, let it be simple. Suppose V equals to 10I, right? So can I write it as V equals to some constant C into I, where 10 is that constant? Can I write it down? So I can say V proportional to I, right? Now from this one, can I write, if V equals to 10I, then can I write 10I equals to V? Then can I write I equals to 1 by 10 times V? Then can I write I equals to 0.1 V? Tell me, is this a constant too? Is this a constant too? See, if 10 is a constant, this is also a constant. 0.5 won't ever change, okay? So we can also say I proportional to V. So if V is proportional to I and if I is proportional to V, then if it is a straight line in this case, it will also be a straight line in this case also, okay? Ekdam clear? Chalo. Now, so in this case also we will be getting a straight line. Now suppose I have been given a question. All of you write down. All of you write down. That if voltage is found to be, if voltage is found to be 10 volt when current is 2 ampere, find out the voltage when current will be 7 ampere. Okay, find out the voltage when current will be 7 ampere. First. So let us do this answer. See, V1 equals to 10 volt, I1 equals to 2 ampere. Okay, according to Ohm's law, we know V1 will be proportional to I1. In the same way, V2 will be proportional to I2, right? So can I write this as V2 by V1 will be equal to I2 by I1? Can I write it? Or can I write V2 will be I2 by I1 times V1? Okay, what is I2? 7, I1 2, V1 is 10 volt. So this will cut out and that will be 35 volt. Okay, we can only do it because it follows the Ohm's law. Now starting from here, we will move on to the next topic, C. Now we found out one thing. Okay, just in the example above we found out, suppose I mark it as voltage and I mark this one as current. Okay, I found out that when the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 when it was 2 ampere, the corresponding value of voltage was 10 volt, right? When it was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 when it was 7 ampere, okay, when it was 7 ampere, the corresponding value was 35 volt, right? Now understand it in this way. So this much is 2, right? This much is 10, right? Now if I say that V1 proportional to I1, and if I find out V1 by I1, I will find out 10 by 2, right? So that will be 5. In the same way, so this one is I1 2 ampere, this one is V1 10 volt, right? Now if I go from here to this terminal, this one is 7 ampere, right? So this will be I2 equals 7 ampere. Now how much is this one? Good, this one is V2 equals to 35 volt, right? Now again, if I do V2 by I2, yes, I get 35 by 7, that is also 5. So I am getting 5 here, I am getting 5 here, right? They are same for both of them, right? Okay, we have also done straight line, y equals to mx plus c. We have learnt about m is known as the slope, right? So we have learnt about y equals mx plus c, where m is known as slope. If c equals to 0, c is y-intercept, right? We have learnt it in math. If c is equals to 0, then y will be equal to mx, or y by x will be equal to slope. So I can say that the number that we are getting 5 is actually y by x. If we put v in place of y and I in place of x, that will be similar to v by I or y by x. So if we are getting this thing, that means we are actually getting the slope. So 5 is the slope, here also 5 is the slope, right? Now let us see the difference. Let us draw one more thing. Let us make it here and here. Can you tell me what will be this much voltage? Can you tell me what will be this much voltage? 35 minus 10. Very good. This is 35 minus 10. That will be 25, right? Okay. Can you tell me what will be this much amount of current? No. Current is in this direction. What will be this much amount of current? Tell me.
7 minus 2.
Good. 7 minus 2. That will be 5, right? This is 5 ampere. This is 25 volt. Okay. We have learned trigonometry, right? So if I take this angle as theta, can you tell me what will be tangent of theta? Height by base, right? That is height by base. Okay, what is height? Height is 25 volt. What is base? 5 ampere, right? These are also coming as 5, right? So the previous one came 5, this one came 5, the difference is also coming 5. So in this case we can find out that from this diagram, if I take any arbitrary 2 points, then it will be also having the same slope. We can also watch it from the figure. Okay, so something is remaining constant, whether I take the difference, whether I don't take the difference, whether I take 2 points, something is constant, and that constant is the slope. Is the slope changing? No, that is the slope. Now the value of this slope is known as resistance. What is it known as? We learned it the previous day. Resistance. This is the slope, which is also the resistance. Okay, so now, yes, whenever we are talking about this, we are talking about fixed resistance. Okay, so Ohm gave us a theory. Okay, Ohm told us that V is proportional to I, and to remove any proportionality we need to bring some constant. Okay, in this case that constant is R, then I. So R is a constant. Now R is not a universal constant. This is known as resistance. But remember, resistance is not an universal constant. Now why is resistance not a universal constant? First, during the declaration of Ohm's law, we said that provided the temperature and the physical properties remain same, that means this resistance is dependent on temperature, it is dependent on physical properties also. Okay, it is dependent on temperature and it is also dependent on physical properties. So it is not a universal constant. Keep this in mind. This is not a universal constant. Okay, it depends on various factors. Okay, it depends on various factors. But if the factor matches for any specific kind of metal, then the resistance will be constant for that metal. Suppose I provide 25 degrees Celsius to this much length of wire of this area to a nichrome. Now if it has 2000 ohm as the resistance, same condition, same length, same dimension of a different nichrome will have the same resistance. Is the concept clear? Okay. Okay, we'll get into it one by one. So did we get this thing? Is it clear? Okay. Now we have studied this about ohmic materials. Okay, this case is only true for ohmic material. See, it's a fixed resistance in this case. Okay, but if we are using dynamic resistance, now what is dynamic resistance? I told you about non-ohmic materials like semiconductor. So what happens if we have a non-ohmic conductor? Okay, if we have a non-ohmic conductor like a semiconductor. Okay, in semiconductor we see a graph like this. Suppose we are plotting I along y-axis, V along x-axis. The graph will be, is it a straight line? Is it a straight line? No. That means if it is not a straight line, is the curve constant? Is the curve constant? Is the slope of the curve constant? Is it a straight line? No. The slope is constant? No. So the slope is changing. If I draw tangents at various places, suppose I'm drawing tangent at this point, this is A. I'm drawing tangent at this point, this is B. And I'm drawing tangent at this point, this is C. Now we can easily find out that this angle is about 60 degree, right? This angle is about 75 degree. See, this angle is about 30 degree or less than 30, is about 20 degree for say. Approximate. But we can easily find out that it is changing, right? It is increasing. So the slope is constant? No, it is changing. So in case of non-ohmic conductors, if the slope is changing, the resistance will also change, okay, because resistance is actually the slope of the curve. So in this case we need to find out various differences in voltage and current, and we will find out the resistance at every point. It is not in your syllabus, you don't need that, okay. Now do a question. Question number 2. How much current will be drawn from a 220 volt source through a heater of resistance 1100 ohm. Now I wrote this symbol, this one is ohm. What is this symbol? Ohm. This symbol ohm, ohm is the unit of resistance, okay. Like volt is the unit of potential difference, ampere is the unit of current, ohm is the unit of resistance, okay. Write this down first, okay. So first question number 2, those who have finished, they do question number 3, okay. Question number 2, how much current will be drawn from a 220 volt source through a heater of resistance 1100 ohm? Okay, what did Ohm's law told us? It told us that V is equals to I times R, or we can say I equals V by R. What is V? V is 220 volt. What is R? That is 1100 ohm, right? If we cut this one, this will be 2, so 2 by 10 we will get 0.2 ampere, okay. The answer is 0.2 ampere. Now next question, this is a question from your NCERT. The potential difference between two terminals of an electric heater is 60 volt when it draws a current of 4 ampere from the source. What current will the heater draw if the potential difference is increased to 120 volt, okay. Do first, okay, we will do this question in 2 ways, okay, in 2 ways. First, we will using the concept of Ohm's law. What did Ohm's law tell us? That V is proportional to I, or as the material is same, so we can say that V2 by V1 is equal to I2 by I1, or I2 will be V2 by V1 times of I1. So what is V2? V2 is 120 volt, V1 is 60 volt, I1 is 4 ampere. If we deduct this one, it will be 2, so that will be 8 ampere, okay. This is by using Ohm's law, directly using Ohm's law. Now next we will do it using the concept of resistance. Now it is said that the potential difference between the two terminals of an electric heater is 60 volt. First let us draw an electric heater. So this be the wire of the electric heater, okay. Now the terminals of the electric heater, let this be terminal A, this be terminal B. Now it is said that the potential difference across these two ends is 60 volt, right. Now a current is passing through it. It is said that a current of 4 ampere is passing through it. Now we know one thing, that the voltage will increase only when the amount of current will increase. The voltage will increase when the amount of current will increase. Okay, that means its volt is 60 volt. The voltage is increasing. That means we can say that V equals to I times R. So if this is the voltage, this is the current, we can find out the resistance as V by I, that will be equal to 60 volt by 4 ampere. This is 15, that is 15 ohm. Is that clear? So we found out the amount of resistance. Now will the resistance change? No, the resistance won't change. We are considering a situation when the heater is getting heated but the heat is not so much that the resistance will change. We are considering this situation, this exception. Now in the second case, what is happening is that the wire is same. Now if the wire is same, the terminals are also same, that means the resistance is same, that is 15 ohm, because resistance in this case was found out to be 15 ohm. Now the voltage has increased to 120 volts. Now if the voltage increases, it will only increase if the current will also increase. So the current has also increased. So from this Ohm's law, we can write V equals to IR, or I will be V by R. Now the voltage is 120 volt, resistance is 15 ohm, this will be 8, so that will be 8 ampere. Okay, we can do the same thing in these two processes. Now, so we have got the brief idea about Ohm's law, we have got the idea about resistance also. Okay, now we will know the factors on which resistance depends. Okay, factors on which resistance depend. So we will broadly classify it into first two categories. Factors on which resistance depends. Factors on which resistance depends. Okay, two categories. First category is the temperature. Second category is the physical character. Now this physical character can be broadly classified into three categories. First is type of material. Second is length of the wire. See, we are using the word wire because normally we are using a wire and we find out the resistance of that case. Okay, so we are writing resistance of the wire. You can write resistance of the cylinder, resistance of the material, but as you are in lower classes, all the numericals that you will be having will be based on a wire. Okay, so we are writing wire. Next will be cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area of the wire. Okay, now we will go one by one. First we will deal with physical characteristics. Okay, see, type of material. Now we can use a copper wire, we can use a nichrome, we can use a tungsten. Okay, tell me which one is a good conductor. Copper is a good conductor or nichrome is a good conductor? Copper. Now out of copper and silver, which one is a better conductor? Silver. Okay, so silver is the best form of conductor that we know. Then comes the different kinds of conductors. Okay, the best conductor means it allows the current to flow more smoothly, right? That means the best conductor will be giving out very less amount of resistance. So better the conductor, lower is the resistance. So out of copper and nichrome, which one will be having the least resistance? Copper, because copper is a good conductor and nichrome is a not a good conductor. Okay, it will be having a lot of resistance. So it depends on the type of material. So if we use copper, it will have less resistance. If we use tungsten, it will also have more resistance. Okay, so it depends on material. Next is length of the wire. Suppose you are using a wire of this length, let this be L1, and you are again using a wire of this length, let this be L2. So which one is longer? L2. So if L2 is greater than L1, then R2 will be greater than R1. Okay, why is that? Longer the length of a conductor, the electron has to pass through more lengths, right? So it has to face more amount of hurdles. That means if it has to face more amount of hurdle, will the resistance be less or more? It will be more. Okay, so longer the length, longer its size, more will be the resistance. Now cross sectionally, okay, what is cross section? What is cross section? Okay, if we cut a cylinder cross sectionally, what kind of figure we will get? If we cut a cylinder cross sectionally, what kind of figure we will get? What kind of figure? Name that figure. What is the plane figure that we are going to get? Suppose this is a cylinder. Okay, suppose this is a cylinder. If I cut this cylinder cross sectionally, what is the figure that we are about to get? Cross sectional cutting means we are doing this section like this. Okay, this is cross sectional cutting. What is the figure we are going to get? If we cut it like this, we are going to get a circle, right? What we are going to get? What is this figure? Circle. Okay, now this has an area. When we are talking about cross sectional area, we are talking about area of this plane figure. Okay, tell me, will this area and this area be same? Okay, so if the cross sectional area is of two types, suppose this is A1, this is A2, which one is greater, A1 or A2? A1. So if the cross sectional area A1 is greater than A2, then the resistance R1 will be less than R2. Just think of it in this way. Suppose you have a street. Now you have a narrow street, you have a wider street. Okay, so the narrow street has lesser area, the wider street has more area. Okay, now if you are having 5 persons to cross the road, in which case will you cross the road easily? Wider road, because the wider road will be giving you least amount of resistance. Okay, so out of these two, the resistance in the second case will be more, because it is having less amount of area. Is the concept clear? Now it also depends on temperature. Now we will learn how it depends on temperature. See, what happens when we heat any substance? What happens when we heat any substance? It will see there's a different thing. What will happen to the molecules present inside the substance? What will happen? What will happen to the molecules? Okay, if we heat something, if we heat something, its temperature increases. Why does its temperature increase? What is the kinetic model of it? What is the internal model of it? What is the atomic model of it? Molecular model of it? Anyone? They are compact, that's okay. But if we start heating them, what happens to the energy that they receive from outside? What they do with that energy? When we heat a solid, it turns into a liquid. Why do they turn into a liquid? What happens to their intermolecular space? The intermolecular spaces increase when we heat them from the outside. Why do the intermolecular space increase? Because when they receive the energy from outside, they starts vibrating vigorously. How do they vibrate? Vigorously. When they start vibrating vigorously, That means the difference between two molecules, the distance difference between two molecules keeps on increasing. Okay, so that means they will come into a more excited state. So when there was less energy, they will vibrate like this. Okay, when there will be more energy, they will vibrate like this. In which case is the possibility of collision more, second case or first case? So when we heat them, the collision probability will increase. That means there will be more chances of collision, more chances of getting struck by one another will be possible. Okay, so in that case, if the temperature increases, that means the random motion will also increase. So if the temperature increases, the random motion will also increase. Okay, if the temperature increases, the random motion will also increase. If the random motion increases, if this random motion increases, that means it will increase the resistance of the material. Okay, that means more the heat will be generated, more will be the random motion, more the resistance will increase. So we have learned about all these factors. Now these two factors, type of material and temperature, togetherly deal with a substance known as resistivity. What do they deal with? Resistivity. They deal with resistivity. We will be learning about resistivity soon. Now for resistance deals with all four of them, right? So if we combine these two and we will say it depends on resistivity, then it will depend on length, it will depend on area. Okay, see, if the length increases, the resistance will increase. If the area increases, the resistance will, so area is inversely proportional to resistance. So in this case we can say that R proportional to L, right? In this case we can say R proportional to 1 by A, right? Now resistivity will increase if heat will increase, that means the resistance will also increase. So resistivity is proportional to temperature. And if the material changes, so for a different material the resistivity will also be different. So see, if we have a certain material at some temperature, then this one is constant for that material, right? This one is constant for that material, right? This constant is known as resistivity. Suppose I am having tungsten at 30 degrees Celsius and I am having tungsten at 30 degrees Celsius of some other length and area, but both of them are at 30 degrees Celsius and both of them are tungsten. That means both of them have something in common. That something is resistivity. Is that clear? Now if the length is more, the resistance will change. If the area is less, the resistance will change. That is a different fact. Okay, but we have one property common in both of them, that both of them are at some specific temperature and both of them are having a perfect kind of a same kind of substance. Like both of them are tungsten and at 30 degrees Celsius. If both of them are nichrome and at 20 degrees Celsius, that means they are having something in common, which is they are nichrome and they are 20 degrees Celsius. Then I am changing the other parameters, length and area, to get the resistance of it. Is the concept clear? Any problem? Anyone? Okay. Now from this formula R equals to rho L by A, we need to proceed into some numericals. Okay, some numericals. See, suppose, okay, first we will do the units, then we will go into the numericals. Okay, now resistance R equals to rho L by A. We know the unit of resistance as ohm, length has unit m, area has unit meter square, right? Or resistivity can be written as R into A by L. So we can write it as ohm meter square by meter, so that will be ohm meter. Okay, is that clear? Unit of resistivity is ohm meter. Now if this is resistivity, there is another quantity like this, sigma. This is actually rho. This is sigma. Sigma equals to 1 by rho. So we can write it as 1 by resistivity. 1 by resistivity is also known as conductivity. So sigma is conductivity. Is that clear? Now if resistivity has units, ohm meter, then conductivity will have unit ohm inverse meter inverse. Is that clear? Now we also have another thing like resistance can be said as 1 by conductance, okay, or conductance equals 1 by resistance. What is the unit of resistance? Ohm. So conductance will be 1 by ohm or ohm inverse, okay. Ohm inverse in simple words can be written as Siemens, okay, a Siemens, SIEMEN. Is that clear? Okay, so we understood this thing. Now let us go into a numerical. Do this numerical. If resistivity of a metal is 300 ohm per meter, find out its resistance for a wire having length 2 meter and cross sectional area 0.02 meter square. Do that fast. So let us do this numerical. It is saying that if the resistivity of a metal is 300 ohm per meter, see, we know R equals to rho times L by A. Rho is given as 300 ohm per meter, L is given as 2 meter, and area of cross section is 0.02 meter square, right? So if we do this one, that will be 300 times 2 by 2 times 100, right? Right, is this the case? Okay, right? Okay, so this will be 2 will cut out, so 30000 ohm, that is 30 kilo ohm. Now can you tell me why I am writing kilo ohm? Why I am writing kilo ohm? Can you tell me why I am writing kilo ohm?
Sir, 1 meter equals to 1000.
Yes, kilo stands for 1000, mega stands for 10 to the power 6, right? See, it can be written as 30 into 1000 ohm. So for that 1000 I am writing kilo. Okay, now do another numerical.
Sir, it will be 3.
It will be 30 kilo ohm. You have done the calculation mistake. This was 0.02 area, rho L by A. Okay.
Sir, I have done it.
Yes, there was calculation mistake. I have told you to find out resistance, not resistivity. Have I told you to find out resistivity? No, I have given resistivity. I told you to find out resistance. Now let us do the next question. Question 5. Next question states that a material has a resistance of 100 ohm if the length is of twice the original length, and area is 5 times the original area, find out the new resistance. Do this one, start doing. I'm writing the next question, start doing this one. Question 6, just write the answer, okay? No need to write down the question. Okay, do these two questions first. Okay, let us do the question number 5. Okay, what is the question number 5 telling us? It is telling us a material has a resistance of 100 ohm if the length is of twice the original length and area is 5 times the original area. Find out the new resistance. See, R1 can be written as rho L1 by A1. Now, is the material changing? Is the material changing? No. Then if the material is not changing, will rho change? Will resistivity change? No. So can we write R2 equals to rho L2 by A2? Or if we divide both of them, R2 by R1 can be written as rho L2 by A2 by rho L1 by A1? Or we can write it as R2 by R1, rho will cut out, L2 by L1 times A1 by A2. Is that clear? Okay, it is said that the new length is twice the original length. So new length is twice the original length. So can it be written as 2L1 by L1? And new area is 5 times the original, that is 5A1. So L1 will cut out, A1 will cut out. Now this is R2 by R1, so R2 will be equals to 2 by 5 times R1, that will be 2 by 5 times R1 is 100 ohm, so this is 20, that will be 40 ohm. Okay, now let us do the next question. It says that if a wire is stretched to 3 times its length, find the new resistance. Give a star here before doing this numerical. Okay, has anyone done this one? No. Okay, let us understand it properly. What is it saying? Question number 6. It is saying that if a wire is stretched to 3 times its original length, 3 times its original length. Now this is an important numerical. Suppose this was the original length and original area. This is L, this is A. Suppose L1, A1, okay. Now if I stretch it, will the area remain same? What will happen? It will decrease. So if I increase the length, its area will decrease. The new area will be LA2, the new length will be say L2, okay. Now how will I know how much will be the new area? Tell me one thing. Is the resistivity of the material changing? Is the resistivity changing? Resistivity depends on temperature and material. Is the material changing? No. Is the temperature changing? No. Then will resistivity change? No. Ekdam clear? Now, so resistivity, if it is rho in this case, it will also be rho in this case. Next, one more thing is constant. Now can you tell me, if I stretch the wire, is the volume changing? Is the volume of the wire changing? The length is changing and the area is changing, that is for sure. But is the volume changing? You stretch a rubber band, does the volume of the rubber band change? No. So we also have the volume constant. Okay, so if I write the volume V as L1 into A1, can I write V as L2 into A2? As the volume is not changing, so can I write L1 A1 and L2 A2 as equal, or can I write A2 L2 equals A1 L1, or can I write A2 equals A1 into L1 by L2? Okay, how much has the length changed? 3 times of its original length, right? So we have stretched it to 3 times, so that will be A1 into L1 by 3L1. Can we write it in this way? So that will be A1 by 3. So we have found out a relation A2 equals A1 by 3. Okay. Now, as we have done previously, R2 by R1 will be L2 by L1 into A1 by A2. We have just done it in the previous case. Now L2 by L1 is 2L1 by L1, because we have increased it to twice the length, as we have said that thrice the length, so that will be 3L1 by L1, thrice the length, into A1 by A2. Now if A2 equals to A1 by 3, then can I write A1 by A1 by 3? Can I write it? So can I write this as 3 will go up on 9 L1 by L1 times A1 by A1. So this will be 9. So R2 can be written as 9R1, right? So what will be the new resistance? 9 times of the original resistance. Is the concept clear?
Sir, could you just repeat the last one?
Okay. We found out that V equals to L2 A2, V equals to L1 A1. We did an equation and we found out A2 equals to A1 by 3. Now we know R2 by R1 equals to L2 by L1 into A1 by A2. We just did it in the previous numerical. Okay. We did now, just did the ratio. Rho will cut out, so this one will remain back. So it will be L2 by L1 times A1 by A2. Now what we are doing is that we are putting L2 as 3 times of L1. See, it has already been said that is 3 times of its length. So L2 is 3 times of L1. We have already found out A2 equals to A1 by 3. We are putting it here, A1 by 3 in place of A2, A1 by 3. So doing the calculation, we are getting 9. So R2 by R1 is 9. So R2 will be equals to 9 times R1. Okay, is it clear? Now do another numerical. Question number 7. Question number 7 states that a wire is doubled on itself. Find out new resistance. It is doubled on itself. What has been said? Doubled on itself. Doubled on itself. How do you double on yourself? If you have a stick, how do you double it on itself? Yes, good. So you break it and you put it on top of that. You break it from middle. Suppose this is your initial length. This one is your initial length. How will you double it on itself? You will break it and then you will attach it. So this will be a new wire. Okay, find out the resistance of the new wire. First see, a wire is doubled on itself. Let us draw a wire first. I will ask you the question, okay? So all of you be prepared. What is the length of the wire? L, right? Now I am doubling it on itself. So what I am doing is that I am cutting it from the middle and I am putting it on top of it. So if I am doing that, that means this one is the length and I am doubling the length. right? I'm doubling the length. Now tell me, if this is of length L, what is the new length? L by 2. Very good. The new length is L by 2. Wow, Reneska is giving good reply. If the original area is A, what is the new area? 2A. Very good. Because there is one area, another area. This is A, so that will be 2A. Now resistance in this case R1 will be rho L by A, right? Resistance in this case will the resistivity change? No, because the material is not changing, the temperature is also not changing. So R2 will be rho into, in place of L we will write L by 2. In place of A we will write twice of A. That will be rho L by A times 1 by 4, right? Now rho L by A is already resistance R1, so that will be R1 by 4. So that will be 1/4 of the initial resistance. Is that clear, all of you? 1/4 of the initial resistance. So we have completed the dependence of resistance on various factors. In the next video we will continue with the combination of resistance. Okay.